Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into something you can't always see, but you can definitely feel: the invisible architecture that makes or breaks a team. We're going to break down how you build an environment where great ideas can actually take flight, and maybe even more importantly, where huge problems get caught before they turn into total disasters. All right, let's just dive right in with a situation. Picture this. You're in a big, high-stakes meeting. The pressure is on, a deadline is breathing down your neck, and a major call is about to be made. And right then, you spot a flaw, a problem. So, do you say something? Well, your answer to that question has almost nothing to do with how smart you are, and everything to do with the room that's been built around you. So let's really paint the picture here. You've got a leader who's sharp. They're driven, but, maybe a little intimidating. Then there's the quiet high performer, the one who always seems to see things a step ahead of everyone else. And finally, there's the new person. Super bright, but absolutely terrified of looking like they don't belong. Sound familiar at all? It's a classic setup. And then it happens. Someone pipes up. It's the quiet one, and they do it so cautiously, right? I might be wrong, but they're practically apologizing for having an idea. But instead of curiosity, they're met with a tiny, almost imperceptible eyebrow raise from the leader. And then a colleague jumps in with a sarcastic, well, that date has been fine for weeks. And boom, just like that, all the oxygen leaves the room. The conversation is dead on arrival. And what follows is just silence. You know that heavy, awkward quiet? That's the sound. The issue is just dropped, swept under the rug, because everyone wants to get to the deadline, the meeting moves on, but that little seed of doubt, that unspoken concern, is just left hanging in the air. So a few days go by, and then it all goes wrong. Turns out that small issue with the data wasn't small at all. Nope, it was the tip of a giant iceberg. That one little flaw ends up causing a massive project failure. Deadlines are blown, everyone is frustrated, and now they have to redo weeks of work. This, right here, is the very real cost of silence. In the fallout, the leader has to take a hard look in the mirror. The team is talented, they're skilled, they work hard. So what went wrong? And this is the moment everything changes. It's the realization that the problem wasn't a skill gap, it was a courage gap, and it was fueled by a culture of fear. And that brings us right to the heart of it all: psychological safety. It's really just this shared belief in a team that it's okay to be vulnerable. It means you can take a risk, an interpersonal one, like challenging an idea, or asking what feels like a dumb question, or even just admitting, hey, I messed up, without getting your head bitten off for it. Now, it's so important to get clear on what this isn't. A lot of people get this wrong. It's not about just being nice 24/7 or getting rid of high standards. In fact, it's the exact opposite. It's about creating a space that's safe enough for the tough, candid conversations and the productive disagreements that you have to do incredible work. It's about candor, not comfort. And here's the kicker. This kind of culture does not happen by accident. No way. Our leader from the story finally gets this. It has to be built intentionally, brick by brick, through deliberate action. It's like you're an architect, but for your team's culture. So let's get into the playbook. How do you actually build this thing? Well, the first two steps are the foundation. First, the leader starts talking about the work differently. It's not just about execution anymore. It's a learning problem. That little shift in words makes it okay to not have all the answers. And second, and this might be the most important one, the leader has to go first. And this is exactly what that looks like. The leader actually starts saying out loud in front of everybody, you know what, I missed something here. By admitting their own mistakes, they make it okay for everyone else to be human too. They're modeling the very vulnerability they want to see in the team. It's a game changer. Okay, the next steps are all about changing how the team talks to each other. The leader stops just hoping people will speak up and starts actively pulling them in. They start asking questions like, what am I missing? Or, Sarah, what's your take on this? And then comes the real moment of truth. This slide just nails it. When someone finally does bring you bad news, your reaction is everything. The wrong way is to immediately ask, whose fault is this? The blame game. The right way, it's to say, thank you for bringing this to me. And then you immediately pivot to, okay, let's solve the problem, not let's find the person to blame. And hey, this is not just some fluffy office culture thing. Think about a hospital. The stakes are as high as they get. When a nurse feels safe enough to say to a surgeon, doctor, hold on, something's not right here. That single moment of speaking up can literally be the difference between life and death.
Or think about a tech company. You might have a brand new engineer, just a few weeks on the job, and they spot one tiny little vulnerability in a sea of code. Their willingness to say, hey, I know I'm new, but could be the very thing that prevents a massive data breach affecting millions of people.
And it's not just about preventing bad things, it's about creating great things. In a creative agency, when a designer feels safe enough to challenge the assignment itself, they're not trying to be difficult. They're trying to find a breakthrough. That's how good ideas become truly great ones. Okay, so let's jump forward in time. We're back with our original team. Same meeting room, months after the leader started this whole rebuild. But the vibe in the room? Oh, it's a completely different world. One of the first things you notice is that the leader has learned a new trick. They speak last. It sounds so simple, right? But by holding back their own opinion, they create this space, this vacuum, that the rest of the team just naturally fills with their own ideas, without being influenced by what the boss already thinks. So the sound in that meeting room is no longer that awful, tense silence. It's a buzz. It's the sound of questions, of ideas being thrown around and debated, respectfully, and of problems getting solved as a group. And the craziest part? The team isn't just happier. Their actual performance, the results they're getting, have gone through the roof. Okay, so that's the story. But stories are one thing. How do you actually make this your reality? Let's get practical and open up the toolkit you can use to start building this on your own team right now. So let's just really hammer these key points home. First, this is about getting to the truth, not just making everyone feel comfortable. It fuels candor. Second, a leader's reaction to a mistake says more than 1,000 emails ever could. It sets the entire tone. And finally, this isn't some side project. Building this is how you unlock the brains of every single person you work with. And it's not a one-and-done thing. It's a constant, intentional process. And if you're thinking, okay, what can I do like tomorrow? Here you go. 6 things. Start by admitting you don't have all the answers. Ask way more questions. The next time someone brings you bad news, make the first words out of your mouth, thank you. Set clear rules for your meetings so everyone gets a voice. Give credit where it's due and do it publicly. And if you see someone get cut off or shut down, step in and say, hey, James, I want to hear the rest of your thought. Each one of these is a small deposit in the bank of trust. And if you want an actual script you can just steal, here it is. Try opening your next meeting with this. You're setting the stage that it's a learning problem, you're explicitly asking for their help, and you're making it normal to talk about risks. It's a perfect setup. And really, that's what this all boils down to. This isn't about some massive revolutionary change you have to make overnight. It's about the small things, the consistent, everyday actions that build on each other. So the real question to leave you with is this. What is one small thing you can do today, in your very next conversation, to make it just a little bit safer for someone to tell you the truth?